Pan's Labyrinth was released in 2006 and was directed by Guillermo Del Toro. And it is about an 11-year-old named Ophelia who discovers Pan's Labyrinth in Nazi-held Europe. I'm here with my friend Austin Michael. And we're going to be talking about this movie because we both really like it. So, let's just start with, what do you think is the best thing about this movie?
I think a couple things for me. I really like the soundtrack. I like a lot of the lore. It felt like it would make a really great video game.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my favorite parts was you don't know if Ophelia's imagining all of these like creatures and all the fairy tales and everything. Like, you don't know if it's real or if she's imagining it. So that's kind of left up to you to decide as the viewer. I really enjoyed that, and I think there could be some interesting debate around if it's actually all happening like they show in the movie.
And I should say, spoiler warning, this is going to be a spoiler review. But yeah, I agree with you. I like how they don't tell you if it's real or if it's fake, or really what's happening. They kind of let you decide on your own.
Yeah, because at some points it's like it's real, and at other points it's like it's fake. Like when at the end, when the creature is gonna stab her brother, and then the father walks around the corner and the creature isn't even there. But then at other times it's like you can see the creatures in the same frame, and when he goes around the corner and the wall is sealed off. And Ophelia went through it, but he couldn't go through it, so...
That one, or under the bed when the mother was sick, and
with the mandrake root.
How he could see it, but with other things he couldn't see.
Exactly. So it's like, you can make an argument either way, I think.
I think one thing I liked about the imagination thing was when Ophelia was locked in the room and had to figure out a way to get out, and the fawn gives her the piece of chalk. And when Mercedes breaks into the room, you see like a chalk drawing of a door on the wall.
Yeah. And
I like how they gave like little things like that. Like the adults could actually still see that, although most of the time it was, you could think her imagination, or they could see everything.
Yeah.
But I did also want to talk about the score. I love the song that Mercedes sings throughout.
The lullaby.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, the lullaby is so gorgeous. It was stuck in my head the whole way home.
I think like 5 minutes into the movie, I turned to you and I said, "This soundtrack is awesome." It had a lot of depth, and you could tell like they really put a lot of work and thought into it, and it really fit the whole theme of the movie. I think.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with it.
I think probably the best pro going into this movie is that you could see everyone had such a fun time making it. And although it's such a deep topic, like talking about Nazi-run Europe and the rebellion, and it's really, at the root of the story, it's a fantasy movie about this little girl's imagination.
Yeah.
And I think they do such a great job with switching the tones when they needed to.
Oh, yeah.
And because it gets really dark in a lot of spots. Like, it's a lot gorier than you would ever expect, but I think they did a great job whenever they would have to shift the tones of the movie.
Yeah, I think it was really cool. It was a fantasy and like history, political hybrid, so it got a lot of cool aspects, and I do agree they did a good job shifting back and forth. Everything flowed very smoothly, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So, what would you say then is your favorite part of the movie?
Favorite part. I really like when she goes down into the labyrinth the first time and discovers the fawn and like the fairies and everything. I don't know, that part was just really cool for me. I also like when she was crawling around in the tree and like with the toad.
And the mud like all on her when she like...
Yeah. Some of the effects were questionable, but...
Yeah, I think that would definitely be one of the cons I have with this movie. Some of the effects aren't as good, but... Yeah. Some of them are fantastic.
Yeah. But it was 2007 or 2008?
2006.
2006, okay. Yeah. So some of the effects were questionable, but I think still, like, they did a pretty good job making the world seem immersive, I would say. And yeah, I really enjoyed those parts where she was actually, like, in the make-believe fairy world.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think my favorite part would have to be with the Pale Man. It's probably the most iconic part about the movie that everybody knows, but never knows what movie it's from.
Yeah.
That part is just fantastic. The effects on that scene are very good. They basically had to do makeup and like CGI to make the Pale Man So
Wow.
it's like really cool when you see the effects of like how they made
Yeah.
him and like seeing him like walk. Some of the walking effects aren't that great. You could tell that's a little bit dated
Yeah.
now, but it is such a fantastic part. Seeing her like run away from this monster as it just like has eyes on its hands, you're like,
Yeah.
like,
It was a really creative monster though. Like you've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
That has their eyes in their hands, and it's, I don't know. I thought overall it was just a very creative movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that monster was really cool. I've seen clips of the monster, but I didn't know what movie it was. So when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's this movie."
I remember it was the same exact thing for me.
Yeah.
I always saw clips of the monster. When I used to watch watch Mojo. I think there was one that was like the top 10 most creative monsters, and I think it was on there. But
Definitely.
I never saw it. I only heard good things about it. I watched it a few years ago, loved it, and then we decided to watch it again and review it.
Yeah.
So we've been talking it up a lot, and although we did say the effects were probably not the best, is there a part that you would say you didn't like?
Part that I didn't like, not really. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I was like, wow, I really don't like that. I thought like some things were a bit unrealistic. For example, like when Ophelia poisoned the captain with the stuff, and it was like, I think it said only use 2 drops of that, but she squeezed like the entire thing into his cup, and then he was like, he wasn't fine, but he was still obviously mobile. But I don't know. I think that was a bit.
You took exactly what I was gonna say. That's my favorite part, because it's so unrealistic. Him just being able to chase after her.
Yeah.
And after he literally got like half of his cheek slit open, which that is an amazing part. The effects are so good for it.
Good.
Mercedes ends up like slitting like half of his cheek open, and he ends up like, oh, that part was disgusting when he had to like sew it back up. So he's already sustained a lot of damage.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Oh, and she stabbed him too, I think, right?
Yeah, she stabbed him in the back. I don't know how. I mean, he must have had damage to his lungs. I don't know, because it was like his upper back, I thought, at least. I didn't go back and rewatch it, but I mean, it was probably like a 4-inch blade, so it had to have done some internal damage.
Yeah, there was no way that he should have been walking.
Yeah.
They definitely were like, okay, we know the movie's a little bit fantasy, you know, we're gonna ask you, please let this slide.
Yeah.
And like, because the movie's fantastic, you do let it slide, but it's one of those where you're like, I wish that at least she only poured 2 drops or something, like she was supposed to do on like the thing, so that it would have been a little bit more believable him running around.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, he chased her a while.
Yeah, I mean, it was through the whole labyrinth, and then he gets to the end and he runs back, and then he goes back through, and you know, then it's open and he sees her, you know, with her brother.
Yeah,
so.
And even before that, like in the house, he's chasing after her. But you can see that he's obviously hurt by it. Like he keeps on stuttering. Like he almost falls a bunch of times. But then once he gets to the labyrinth, he's just up the whole time sprinting. I was like, okay, like what are we doing here?
So that was my only part that I was kind of like, you know, that's a little questionable. But I guess you kind of suspend that, and you know.
And I will say, I think the subtitles are pretty good. Sometimes with movies, but like when you're watching in a different language, the subtitles are so bad. Yeah. But for this one, I thought they were really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I could in Suspiria, the subtitles aren't always the best. I remember that when I was watching it, there's like a few lines where I was like, "What? That's not what she just said." Yeah. But no, the subtitles were pretty good.
Yeah. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie, had a great soundtrack, and I think the lore was probably my favorite part, because it feels like a game that I would love to play with all that lore, and you know, the underworld and the fairies and the fawn and that creepy creature.
You know what? I think you should create the game for it.
I'll create the game for it, sure. Yeah.
All right, you guys heard it here first. Oscar Michael's going to be creating the game for it.
Sweet.
Yeah, so overall, I'm going to give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. What would you give it? I'll give it
a 9.25 out of 10.
All right, that's a good rating, and I think we both recommend it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a good watch. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. If you haven't gotten rid of your Netflix subscription because of Cuties.
Yeah.
I don't even want to get started on the whole Cuties thing.
It's also on Amazon Prime, I believe. Isn't that where we watched it?
No, I think we bought it.
Oh, we did buy it. You're right.
Yeah, we bought it. It is worth the buy, though.
It is.
Support Guillermo Del Toro.
Yes, he has a lot of good movies.
Exactly, like The Orphanage. He produced The Orphanage.
That's another great
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
He did. Didn't he help direct or produce Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Oh, I don't know.
I think he also produced that.
The book or the movie?
The movie.
The movie, I don't know. I haven't seen that one yet, but I do want to watch that.
I do have it, so we can watch it.
Sweet.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for watching, and thank you Austin Michael for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Is there anything you want to plug?
No. I've enjoyed this. Subscribe to this guy. He's amazing.
Thank you.
One of my best friends, so.
Oh, thank you. Come here.
Oh,
Come here.
okay.
All right, thank you. And let's flash forward to the next review.